Hello, Algebra. This is our last day of review. So, let's see what we've got. As you know, Chapter 11 was all about simplifying square roots. And we did that using the perfect square method or the tree method. I'm going to demonstrate the perfect square method because I think it's the one you guys struggled with the most, but it really is the easiest one. So here's the thing. If we look at 80, what two numbers using our perfect square chart, the top of our perfect square chart, not the bottom, the top, what two numbers or what number on the perfect square chart can I divide 80 by? So I generally start about half, so 49. That doesn't make sense though. Why would I divide 80 by 49? That wouldn't work. So try maybe 36. So 80 divided by 36, 80 divided by 25, 80 divided by 16, 80 divided by 9. Which one, the highest one going down, works best? Which one will give you another number? Well, it is, no, not 16 times 2. Sorry about that. 16 times 5. All right. So these guys are still in square root symbols. So we have to go one step further. What's the square root of 16? Well, it's 4. So this is going to be 4 times the square root of 5. See how nice and clean that is? I didn't have to have all kinds of 2's to multiply together and then this random 5. So if you can use the perfect square chart, do it. If you only know how to do a factor tree, then only do the factor tree. But keep your factor tree clean so that you can do it. Okay? 32 I'm going to let you do on your own. What about these guys? Can I add these together? Well, the square root of 80 we just determined was 4 times the square root of 5. We already had done that. The square root of 32 doesn't have the same square root of 5. If it does, when you simplify this, if it has a square root of 5, then by all means, you can subtract these. By all means, you can add these. But if they don't, if 32 does not have a square root of 5, then you can't. And it's just your answer. It's just the two things simplified, here being subtracted and here being added. So check those out. I will post the answers in part 2 of this video. Okay, what about these? So it's multiplication. So all I have to do is multiply my 7 times 3, which is 21. And then I'm going to multiply my 6 times 3, which is 18. But that's got a perfect square in it. So I'm going to do my perfect square. I'm going to do my 9 times my 2. And then I now have to remove that. So I've got my 21 here. Bring my 21 down here. This becomes 3 times the square root of 2. So now what's 21 times 3? Well, it's 63 times the square root of 2. Fantastic. This one's a little bit tricky. We learned a rule that if I had a over b all under a root, it was exactly the same thing as the square root of a divided by the square root of b. I could split those out. This rule looks a lot like this. Could I split these out? Would it make it easier? I sure could. The square root of 25 over the square root of 81. What's the square root of 25? Well, it's 5. What's the square root of 81? It's 9. So that's my answer. Okay. Now the next one looks very similar to that same rule. What was my rule? It was the square root of a over b is equal to the square root of a over the square root of b. Okay? So this is a square root of over a square root. If I put it into the big one, will it help me out? Well, I get the square root of 24 divided by 2. Okay, so the square root of 24 divided by 2 is 12. Now I need to simplify that. What am I going to get? Well, it has the perfect square of 4 in it times 3, and that would be 2 times the square root of 3. So you just keep simplifying using our perfect squares. Okay, what happens when I've got a problem that I need to solve? When I am solving an equation? Remember, when we do this, we need to get our radical first all by itself. So this 7 out here isn't underneath, so I need to move it over to the other side. So then I have the radical of x minus 3 is equal to what? 11 minus 7, 4. Now, how do I get rid of my square root of 7? I square it. And if I square that, I have to square this. That will cancel that out. So now I just have my x minus 3. 4 squared is 16, and now I solve the rest of the equation using all of the methods I learned in Chapter 2. Okay, do that. I'd love for you to look up in your notes what happens in number 9. And then our last problem on this side is our Pythagorean theorem. We need to find our missing side. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Well, we only care about one side. What is the side? It's our c, our hypotenuse. What number is our hypotenuse? I'd like you to pause the video. I'd like you to do this problem. I'd like you to come back and check your answers. So pause now. Okay, hopefully you got this answer, approximately 10.7. What did I do? First, I took my numbers and I put them in the right spots. This 9 could have either been A or B, it doesn't matter. I chose to put it as A just because I went around the triangle. But our 14 has to be our c squared. So I square my 9, get 81, square my 14, get 196. Move my 81 over to get 115, and I've got x squared equals 115. So then I had to undo my square by square rooting, and the square root of 115 is approximately 10.7, and so on, but we're going to round to the nearest 10th. Okay, next chapter, chapter 12. Chapter 12, we needed to figure out the distance and the midpoint. We also did mean, median, and mode. I will remember mean is our average. So we're going to add everything up. Median is our middle. Can't write the word middle. But we have to go least to greatest first. And mode is our most. What numbers listed most often? Okay, so let's talk distance. I would like you to find the distance and the midpoint for each of these. As you do that, make sure you're using the formula correctly. This is subtraction. This is subtraction. Then we square them. Then we add them. Then we take the square root. For our midpoint, we add them together and divide by 2. Okay? So, for my first problem here, in the distance formula, what do I have? What's my x values? Well, -1 minus 0 squared plus -4 minus 3 squared. Okay. So, -1 minus 0 is -1. -4 minus -3 is -7. Negative 1 squared, last time I checked, was 1 plus 49. This is going to be the square root of 50. So you want to approximate that and get, 7.7. So this is going to be approximately 7.1, actually. Okay? Then I would like you to find the midpoint of that. So, negative 1 plus 0 is still only negative 1 over 2. So that's my first point. Negative 4 plus 3 is going to be negative 1 divided by 2. So our midpoint of this is going to be negative 1/2, comma, negative 1/2. Get the idea? I will give you the answers for number 2 and 3 in part 2 of the video. Okay. As I am looking at this, I need to add all these together. And when I do, and then divide by how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Divide by 10. You should get an answer of 1.67. My median, I need to put these in order. Okay, so 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 3, 3, 3, a 4, and a 5. Now, I need to find my middle. Okay, I've got two numbers, add them together, divide by 2. So that would be 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 divided by 2, our median is 2. What is our mode? Well, 0 is listed 3 times, and so is 3. And that is it. Add to your cheat sheet, and God bless. I will get you the answers in part 2.